Hey guys, it's DJ. I want to show off some of the new add-on development I've been doing for my Demon Hunter in World of Warcraft in Shadowlands. So let's dig in. I'm going to turn off one of the main things that's giving me all these extra buttons here. This is coming from Power Auras. I'll debrief that in a minute. Let me turn it off so I can focus on the other ones that I've made for the moment. Okay. Alright, so there's a few different add-ons. There's a health warning thing, a global cooldown down here on the bottom. There's a mini-map radius thing. I'll show off those first, and then I'll debrief my Power Aura thing. And the last thing I'll show is the custom Cycle of Hatred HUD for the Demon Hunter. Alright, so let's dig in. First, let's take a look at the health stuff. I'll run over here real quick to the raid tanking dummy, and that will do damage to me. All of these disappear when you're out of combat. So here I'm in combat. You can see my health bars going down. You can see red flashing underneath it when I take damage, and you can see these big old numbers on the side. So that may seem a little obscene, having those huge numbers over there. It really isn't when you're in combat, right? It is intended to be just a peripheral, am I pronouncing that right? Peripheral read. When your eyes are here, the farther away something is, this is just sort of a bit of logic I'm using in general in all my HUD stuff, is in order to keep my eyes here but still communicate information, the farther away from center, the bigger I have all the stuff. So this global cooldown thing's fairly large, and this is really quite large too. But when your eyeballs are here and you just see it like it going up and down, it communicates. It does its job. It's telling you you're raising health or lowering health, and it helps, you know, you go get to safety or call for heals or pot if needed. It gets more faint and more green the closer to 100 you get. So yeah, that's the health bar HUD stuff. Next up, this global cooldown. I was using the quartz one. Global cooldown. I wasn't quite doing what I wanted it to. I wanted it coming into the middle because I feel like the little symmetrical style, like when it's in the middle, that's when you click again. Felt better to me. I want it to be a bright thing. The quartz one's just black. And one more thing too is it's very large, and once the timer gets inside of these two things, this whole inner bar flashes. There's a very subtle black line there, and when it enters it, there's a little glow. So that is the minimum of when you can click early. So one thing you know is if you click a spell, and the cooldown's going, it's about 2/3 of the way through that you can click again. So if I click right now, it goes even though I was quite a bit early. If I do it about halfway through, now and now, it doesn't register. Now and now, it did register. Although you didn't see it go again. Maybe a bug in here. So that's basically the intent. There's a little tiny subtle sound you probably can't hear. It's a little tick, tick. Goes off. All the sound effects are my voice. I recorded them. But basically the idea is you don't want to hit it right on the threshold edge, because if you're a hair early now, it's failed. So I want to give myself a little window in which now this thing is the little time thresholded window where when it enters that's when you want to click again. And it doesn't always actually, the spell is going again, even though it doesn't always give me my cooldown again. I think I got a bug in there, but okay, so that's what that does. And let's turn on, this guy, this yellow ring. It's mostly for, I use it in conjunction with GatherMate. It's to show the radius by which nodes will show up for you in the minimap. So if I've got GatherMate up and I show nodes around, I know that I have to get close enough to this yellow bar to intersect those nodes to essentially reveal if they're there or not. So just use that to run around and farm herbs. right, let me turn Power Wars back on, and I'll break down the rest of the stuff. My sort of custom, I gotta actually reactivate it. Okay, so these, they're movement stuff. I let them exist outside of combat, but the rest of it's behind a combat gate. Okay, so here's the deal with these. There's big flashing buttons. Some of them are pulsing, some are not. Basically, the idea is a couple of things. One is I'm using this custom Razor Tartarus 2 and a Razor Naga, which has got 12 buttons here. So those 12 buttons are demonstrated by this little graphic here. So I've got my auto run on the thumb here, my mount, well, my combat won't let me mount, my fell rush, I've got stuff that's a little outside of like damaging spells on it. The imprison and interrupts, I use that quite a bit for PvP. Cast my imprison spell. The interrupts there. I can flag them with these two thumbs, potion, and then my map. I can toggle on my thumb there. And then these ones, but are really my main combat buttons. The purpose of them here is it is kind of awkward for me to like have the layout that I have. You know, you've got 10 buttons here, well, 12 in a row. So the way I'm laid out on my hand is my 4 fingers home row are from the 2 to 5, and then I do a little pinky reach for the 1 for spell rush. And then 6 is to reach up, and then it winds back 7, 8, 9, 0, and then these down here are the minus and equals. So I've got the sort of rare, you know, activation things, my trinkets, pots, and stuff down on these two. But so this is all my sort of main spell rotation. And it is awkward to have the sort of shape and layout of the buttons on my hand different than they are visually here. It's confusing. So at Power Wars, I've just sort of replicated the layout in the same shape that they exist in here. So it kind of gives me a one-to-one, like if I want to sort of see and click, it's less processing from my brain. It kind of understands better where the buttons are. The little tiny ones above each button are the shifted versions. There's a shift here. So my 0 through 10 shifted gives me the ones that are slightly above, which includes high beam, that's shift 6, shift, whatever this thing is. So it just helps me sort of like see visually where my fingers are what they're going to do, and the pulsing and largeness is set up in terms of a priority order of damage that the spells do. So basically this is set up as kind of a whack-a-mole philosophy. Whichever one is up and flashing is the one I'm supposed to click next, and then use that in conjunction with this thing, and I get my nice timing cadence going. That is the sort of main thing. A couple other, make sure my trinkets on cooldown. They'll go grayed out and have purple rings around them when I don't have enough mana for them, or sorry, rage in case of a Demon Hunter. This red thing is extra. That's showing me when I have Metamorphosis up. That's like I have 50% haste with Metamorphosis up, so that's my, go get 'em, do damage window. I'm presenting my rage here around my character in a circle, and I've got 2 extra little like wedges that come up that are communicating to me when I have enough for my 2 basic abilities. Eye Beam takes 30, and my Chaos Strike takes 40. So if I'm shy of that, then that means don't have enough rage. And if I max it out, it starts to bounce around and fill. And that's to communicate to me I'm overraged. I need to not click Demon's Bite anymore, and the button even just goes away to reinforce that I shouldn't click it when I've got a lot of rage. But then, yeah, and then when it gets smaller, then the Demon's Bite comes back up. I've got my interrupts communicated up here. I've got my excuse me, in prison. My spell steal, if there's a spell steal available, that'll happen. And so that's basically it. Now, last thing that is not part of power auras, that little zoom that you will occasionally see. There it goes again. There's a little motion blurred version of the I-beam button. So one of the talents of, and this is a custom add-on that I have created locally, but Cycle of Hatred for Demon Hunters. When Chaos Strike refunds Fury, it reduces the cooldown of I-beam by 3 seconds. So the main gameplay loop of this spec of Demon Hunter is that you want to always be casting I-beam. But it's on a 24-second cooldown. So basically you should be, when that is not up, so here it's up, it gives me, it's 8, or I think it's supposed to be 12 seconds of metamorphosis. Seems like less. I-beam is channeling, your haste is increased by 15% for 12 seconds. Anyway, so you want I-beam constantly up, but it only goes for 7 seconds, my metamorphosis, my hasted state from it, but it has a 24-second cooldown. So Chaos Strike is what you want to be spamming, because it will occasionally proc to lower the cooldown of I-beam. So I want to keep spamming Chaos Strike and occasionally get this, that thing. So it wasn't well communicating to me before when that was occurring. I wasn't really sure, like, am I on a shorter version of it? Is it coming soon? I can, like, look at this, but I want to just ambiently, peripherally, if I'm saying that correctly, kind of communicate to my brain when I-beam's time just got dropped. So there's a little sound effect that I did when I recorded with my voice. A little motion blurred thing goes down. So there you go. That's just an extra little there it goes down. Communication for I-beam's cooldowns down. Alright, there's all the custom add-on dev I've been doing to make my Demon Hunter a little more successful. I hope you like it. None of these Power Auras is a public add-on. The rest of the stuff that I showed are my own custom code locally. If anyone finds these interesting or useful, I could get them all cleaned up and make them live and downloadable by others. They are not right now, but I could do that if anyone really wants me to, let me know. Alright, this is DJ. I'll talk to y'all soon.